I guess we could go ahead and get started. I'm gonna let my sister Hazel Moon, if you want to go ahead and get us going.
Sure. So, Ellie, what a life you have had, and really what's been happening to you in these last few years around your daughter basically being abducted by the US Child Protective Services in California. Devastating for any parent. Where would you like to start your story?
Thinking maybe my own little girl, which is me from the start.
I think that's
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Let's start with you.
Will maybe surprise you a little bit, but I am so irregular girl with a lot of layers and origins. So just don't be shocked when you hear that this post-Soviet girl was born in the probably next country for our dear and awesome president to liberate, which is
Ukraine.
ne Cuba.
Oh, well, yes, agreed.
I was born there because my father and I'm taking second generation after him, a linguist, an interpreter. He worked for the then Soviet military base, and finally when they discovered my mom was born with me. And I didn't remember anything because I was like 6 months old when my daddy's contract ended. So they only allowed a few months to kind of prolong his contract and to stay in Havana. And then they moved back, which is another shock. Not even Kiev, it was Chernobyl, which was never probably meant to be famous or notorious, but until the 1986 nuclear power plant catastrophe or disaster that made us lose our home and get evacuated at the age of 4.5.
Wow, so you were actually there when the catastrophe happened?
We lived near the bus station, ironically. I remember the day vaguely or vividly. We were evacuated. Dad remained because he was supposed to have taken care of the students he also taught at a medical school. He was supposed to be kind of commissioned. My mom grabbed me and we went to this same bus station. I used to take long walks with my daddy on some natural walks, and I remember this striped old bus with a lot of smoke, black smoke, and then I was seated next to a window, and like trees and trees passed. I think I even like passed out in the nap. And then a few months of just being evacuated into a south of Ukrainian town near the sea, into little like portables, mobiles, and then they gave us a new apartment in Kiev's region, like an eco woods, where I went to school, regular Soviet school, and then the Soviet Union collapsed, and the hungry 90s, which also my husband also, got, and his family did worse. They were so hungry that they had to go out in the street and sell their personal belongings to get by for a day or two. The 90s were horrible. So I went through bullying in the school. I was even beaten up. I was definitely mocked at and humiliated, both ironically by teachers and kids. And I swore to myself that I would do anything, against a crowd, a mob of people bullying one single child, and that child ended up to be my daughter in a state where we landed when I met my husband. He made a decision to migrate to the United States. Obviously, that was the only country of his limited opportunities. He is an IT guy. We met in 2006 and 2007. We already were in area with two bags, like Elon Musk, on the same H-1B visa, legal visa, two bags, lots of books, a couple of $100, and big expectations and dreams to build a brighter future in a country where allegedly dreams come true and laws work. That's what we were striving for.
So how old were you when okay, so how old were you when Chernobyl happened and you had to move, right? So you've pretty much, because your dad was in Havana and then you moved, you were kind of like what we call here in the US in a way like an army brat, where your dad traveled for the to do the translation, all that stuff. And then how, and you were in at your home near Chernobyl, and then when that happened you were uprooted again and you went into this kind of more hostile environment. What point did you go? Did you come to the U.S.? And this is for our listeners as well. How old were you when you first came to the U.S.?
24, 25, and I got pregnant a year and a half later with my daughter. We were struggling through a basically easy, supposedly was meant to be easy immigration process, because I found out that the Cuban natives, and apparently I accidentally found out about this great law. It was supposed to have been a really, really smooth process, but some unclean lawyers, we already started meeting some unclean lawyers in Massachusetts. My husband worked for monster.com in a small town in Massachusetts, also in Boston area. They just made it harder. Nevertheless, we got green card. Our daughter was already, I believe, around 3. Then the 33 unhappiness. I forget how Jim Carrey's movie was called, when about the unlucky guy that he is going through some mishaps. If you remind me, I would appreciate it very much, that movie. My parents started dying one after the other. We could not even rejoice with this wonderful, it wasn't a new home, but it was a colonial two floor. We started building something, but definitely that was kind of a knockdown, a knockout. I managed it all. I had property left after them in the center of Kiev near the circus, beautiful apartment. Again, I had to sell it because I pledged really, really high hopes for this country. I sold it. And then my daughter went to her kindergarten, like a regular public school in Massachusetts, Boston area, to 12, 14. So as a regular child, she went to a regular school. Who knew that she would be bullied like crazy for her being hyperactive and thus inconvenient child? And we didn't know a thing about all these, ABC, all these ADHD. Ukraine was only a developing country, and alongside with that, also psychology as a science was developing. I don't know how we could overlook it. The struggles with my parents, funerals and taking care of the property, and the school never even suggested, let's get her tested. Let's just try this and this. They only threw her into the hallway for being vivacious girl, not a tomboy. That's very important. She was never a tomboy. She was a vivacious, happy blonde girl with long hair. I would even forecast her a model career.
Well, let's back up a little bit and start when, just so that our listeners know a little bit about the situation. Let's go back to and your daughter. We obviously don't not going to use her name. When you first started noticing that, or the school started telling you there was like behavioral issues, or when did this first come on your radar, that not the gender stuff, but that like, because I think that that's their final stop, right? Is, oh well, we don't want to figure out what's going on, so we're just going to say gender. When, how many years, or was it just months or weeks, when you started noticing that she was having issues, or maybe needed to talk to someone? Was that like when she hit puberty? When did you start noticing things like that with her?
You mean mental?
Yes.
Well, that's what she was basically penalized for. I think it was, well, that's basically when she started school. Kindergarten, interestingly, went quite smooth, because her kindergarten teacher was a young mom that just returned from maternity leave, eager and full of love for children. But the first and second grade, and that's clearly outlined in my Substack, I hope we are going to talk about, called Ukrainian Mother's Fight for Her Daughter. It's in the chapter where I talk about the schools in Massachusetts. I have two chapters. It starts in schools, and two women of around 50 plus, around the same generation, they were bullying her. They were scapegoating her for innocent stuff, that like she was, running or moving forward in the hallway or in the cafeteria, and she like collided with another student who apparently was a privileged student. There were so many spads there, so she was made to write a sorry note to those kids. And I'm like, okay, what about other kids? What about other parents? No, it was her. It was like her, that was always, whose fault it was always. And it was noticeable. And it would break my heart every time to see her getting off a school bus in tears, unlike other kids. So I would
Yeah,
say
so
first,
it sounds like
second grade. Yeah.
it sounds like although she was being bullied by kids, she wasn't really being supported by the teachers either. You're saying she's being penalized and bullied by teachers too.
Yes, I remember even a school bus driver bullied her. Like she broke some girls. Again, it was a teacher's daughter. She broke her toy on the bus, and my daughter said, "No, it never happened." And that girl was really like the girl from Troubled Child. I forget her name, was Trixie, I guess. She even looks like her. She slapped my daughter on the face in a bus line, and it was never addressed. And I'm like, what's going on? Why is it like that? So we spent 2 horrible years of me just trying to figure out, with her first grade teacher being openly hostile, like, oh, this what she did, this, like very, very domineering. Whereas her other teacher, her name is Holly, we even sued them. It's in the chapter on my Substack. She was really tricky. She was cunning. She was made me feel I am like a moron or something, because she was writing in email one thing, like grumbling about her behavior, disruptive, disrespectful, blah blah blah. And then when I confront her, like in person, like, Mrs. Holly, what's going on, she would pour me this honey potion into my ears, and I would say, even I saying, oh, she's such a talented girl. Never mind, she made me like, what's going on? Until May, I was pregnant with my other child, and until May it was even not safe to send her to school, because at a field trip, another very PTSD and problematic girl kind of jumped on her. Well, she had obviously behavioral issues. My daughter did not do this, but she jumped at her from behind and started basically choking her. And my daughter instinctively used her, like elbow to just push back, like a natural instinct to protect herself. And she was blamed for her, because that girl apparently used the unwritten rule, first told on, first believed. So, and my daughter only told me like a few days later, and it was hair raising. And I said, no, you're not going to that school anymore. I'm keeping you home. We need to speak with superintendent, because the then principal did not address anything of that for 2 years. And I thought that hell started at that point, and it was really scary. We spent a lot of money on protecting. We even hired a school advocate, and apparently then a school or educational attorneys, they ripped us off for $40,000. And the mafia was already being visible to me, how it works. It's horrible path we went down.
It must have been so disappointing after all your dreams for being in America to find that the authorities were really working against you and your daughter's well-being.
They set entire community, including of course teachers and their friends, and we were friends with them. We had play dates. I was friends with this mom, and her son is an autistic boy, and he obviously had some behavioral issues, but they were privileged. He was never penalized like her. So we were friends like for 7 years, and it and apparently he was even mentioned in our like complaint, because this privilege thing, I have no idea what's going on, but apparently there was another boy who I found out why was she bullied. There must be some financial incentive. And then during this fight, until I delivered my boy in September, so I met only one Russian or Ukrainian origin teacher mom at some mom group, and she privately confessed to me that a school district receives double the, so to say, the rate for a special education student, but they were making her artificial, like, why didn't they just tell me? Maybe she's got this, let's get her tested. I'm still, asking this question, why? And that's also reflected in my Substack. So anyway, we had to literally, because that Elizabeth Warren, I even wrote to her, she footballed me saying, nah, I'm not going to help you. Go back to your district. Go back to your, where you belong. So I have that email from, like maybe 11 years ago or something. We were, there is no school choice. There is just one middle, one elementary, and one high school. We had to run. With me being an 8 months, pregnant lady, we had to run away from one district to another, rent a condo where we never lived. Then being spied on, being followed by a police resource officer from that district. And then eventually I'm just really, like fast forwarding it, but it was horrible because this girl, again, she was kicked out from the new district because they say, we followed you. We have a report that you guys don't live. And I had a newborn baby. We had to sell property by property. We never abandoned my pretty girl. And at that point, she hit like puberty. It was age of, when he was born, she was 9. And then 10, she started having her first period. It's so much to be coping with. Like you get kicked out from the community that you thought you belonged, your friends and their parents. A lot of them were definitely belonging to the school district, like, volunteers and teachers and subs. They just turned their backs on us. They passed by our home looking at us as like lepers, only because we raised our voice, protecting our girl. You have no idea what we went through. And I thought that was the most horrible time. She started developing these traumas, and those apparently traumas, like right now she's definitely diagnosed with borderline personality, BPD, PTSD, ADHD. She got confirmed later in California. Those started to be shown. We went through a nightmare with this wonderful girl I love, back to the moon, to the moon and back. But the hell did not start in Redding, California, Massachusetts. The hell started in Redding, California, but it's at Massachusetts, because her aggression, her auto-aggression that some Ukrainian psychologist I immediately contacted that talked to her. She said, well, maybe mama, it's better, that she kind of wreaks her aggression and blaming on the family. But I had 22 months old. So at some point she became even suicidal and homicidal. She could not cope. And when he was 22 months old, she was hospitalized for evaluation in a facility called Terra Vista in Devens, Massachusetts. She was hospitalized for 11 days. They put her on Prozac, made her even more aggressive, didn't help. It was scary.
And this whole time you're trying to, I mean, the amount of balancing that you have to do in your heart, your child has been taken from you, but you have this other child who needs you.
Exactly.
Right. And so, like, can you tell us a little bit about like how that is for you day to day? You're doing this fight, but then you and I had talked in the background, and you were, you take your son out in nature, which I love and everything. But tell us kind of the toll it's taken on you as a mother to be separated from her, and at the same time still needing to be completely present for your son.
I don't know, my dear. I don't know, because I strongly encourage everybody to read the last but one I wrote, Siblings, Her Little Brother. I strongly recommend reading it. That's probably the best answer to your question, because
Well, we would love for you to read something from your Substack for us today, if you don't mind.
It's very heartbreaking. I
Okay.
can.
If you don't have to, I'm just saying that we always encourage our guests, if they want to read their own words, but absolutely don't worry, because we are going to make sure that your Substack's in the comments. But if you decide you want to, and I'm going to turn it back over to Hazel. I think we would very much love that, but we do not expect it of you.
Thank you, my dear. I just want to let you know that every time I go on a podcast, or talk about it, or record a video for somebody I'm praying that probably will pick it up or notice, then I'm just completely like knocked out, and I'm just lying in my bed trying to draw, or it's a wound that is raw, and it's like poking it with a stick, and it's very painful. So he's so much looking like her, and he actually behaves like her. I am noticing a lot of ODD, and she was diagnosed with ODD, which is opposition defiant disorder. He is clearly, and he was confirmed ADHD, but at some point I think he's even more severe than her. I don't know. Maybe because I'm Ukrainian. Maybe because this spirit, this DNA. Because we are so multicultural, multinational, even within our own country. I did my heritage, the DNA test years ago, and I'm 82% bulk, and I'm like, what the actual, interesting. So I'm Russian, I'm Ukrainian, I'm Polish, Turkish, and a lot of these interesting bloodlines. I don't know, but I'm thinking that a lot of parents, and I was just meant to talk to my husband after we get off today. I know that a lot of parents did not even make after one of the many pivots that we had, losing your both parents. I lost my dad after my mom died of cancer. He followed her literally in my hands. He survived only, he lasted only 5 months, 3 days. It's a horror story that maybe one day I will write. Right now, my Substack is dwelling on my daughter and this, this trans and CPS fight, but there is so much more you have no idea. So maybe it's just that my immense and bottomless love for my children, and maybe there is God's mission, because it's so bad that there's got to be a sacred mission for this torture that we are still undergoing, having to hide in a red state, Florida, somewhere, that they're really hunting for us. Other than that, I cannot even answer why this is happening to us.
There's been a lot of grief in your life, hasn't there?
I miss my mom and dad. They were the best parents, and I don't even know if I overcame it. I've never met such delicate, diplomatic, so intelligent and developed people with both higher education, with so much love and just kindness that I thought that it would last forever. But when my mom all of a sudden announced that she had gastric cancer stage 4, and she just burned like a match, and how ironically that it was right after we got the green card and purchased our home in Massachusetts that we thought that would become our dream came true. So that's basically my life, and it's not over. There's gotta be a reason behind it. That's why I'm here, and I so much appreciate my dear friends, my girls, that you are listening to this.
So tell us, how did your daughter end up in the Child Protective Services? And I know that you have been separated from her for several months now.
So there's some period that it's years of also of a lot of endeavors. I have to be mentioning because it will be just jump from Massachusetts fight. So we were forced out of Massachusetts, and it was right before COVID that things got so offhand, and she became, like I said, like very, very aggressive and blaming us and the country, and her brother eventually being jealous, like she thought I was giving him more attention, which is not true. I just breastfed. Daddy worked day and night to sell that home because we bought another condo to belong to what we thought better school, but they started working with the previous district. They, like I said, kicked her out. She was homicidal and suicidal. And then my husband got a job that forced him to travel to Beijing, with me being with 2 kids, no family. And I said, it's enough, and I'm going to Ukraine for a family trip. We need a break. So we grabbed our kitty cat because he would be able to take care of her. I grabbed my both kids, and we went to join his sister-in-law, and we were locked down for COVID, but she was opening up and blossoming. And it was like I was thinking maybe we should just stay because she's thriving. But this hunger in the 90s I mentioned, that he said, I won't be able to have this realization of my talents. I won't be able to buy you this home. He's like, like a man, the home, like the home and provision. Maybe he sensed something, about the war coming, who knows. But we were locked down, and we thought about how we should reunite. He remained in Massachusetts, found a remote job, and apparently it was in San Francisco, a remote job in a bank. And we thought what we should do. He said, just come and join me. We decided not to give Massachusetts any more chances, because already 2 districts, they proved that it's all cahoots, it's all connected. So we just packed and went. At that time, while she was locked down, she went on Discord because she was craving for connections, for still practicing her English. She was already using 24/7. At that time, I heard this Roblox and yes, Minecraft gaming and chirping, chatting online. It did not raise any suspicions. I was not completely aware I didn't even know a word groomer until basically she was removed. So we spent 10 months in Ukraine. We reunited with Daddy. We rented a townhouse in Bay Area. Things were running okay, but it was very expensive. And my husband went on Zillow and said, that's the home I like, this villa. And it's reflected, its pictures and drone, aerial footages in one of those chapters. I strongly recommend to read to know better what we went through. So he said, just don't want to drain, this rent anymore. There's a lot of money. So we packed and we went to Reading. We went through phone fire, 2021, the month of September. A mentally, I would say, sick lady, an arsonist, made this fire. which burned a lot of homes. Even only on our street, we lost like 2/3 of our neighbors' homes. Like literally, we were a couple of homes on the street, and everything was charcoal. It was again another evacuation in my life, having to be forced to go into nowhere without knowing if your house would make it or not. It was very scary. It made it because the house was built by engineers for life, for living. If you look at the chapter called, I think again it's called "It Starts in Schools," but that's California chapter. There is the home and there is the shed picture. That's a beautiful ADU with 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, AC, Wi-Fi, shower, cabin, a bathtub. Eventually that became one of the CPS allegations, who never actually checked out what the shed means. So she was digging deep into psychology at the time after we returned to home, and she did a little bit of remote schooling, but she craved for school connections, and she asked to be enrolled in a Shasta Lake school where she had 33 unhappiness. She had a head trauma injury, like an accident at the parking school lot. So there was like a lot of these things that I'm just, like smoothing down, but it wasn't that easy. And it took us time and efforts. And of course, she was always provided with medical, mental, and psychiatric care. No medical appointment, was declined or denied. She asked to be tested for she was looking for answers. Why was I bullied? Maybe I'm ADHD. Maybe her Discord friends suggested that, but and again, Mama ran to the PCP, and the PCP made a referral to a Reading psychologist who confirmed her with ADHD, ODD, and sometime later she was looking for, I don't know, she was looking for more diagnoses. I don't know why. Maybe she was prompted by her friends, but she was basically confirmed with having a BPD at the age of 13, 14. We were settling down in Reading. After that school incident where she was getting out of a car, my husband was dropping her off, and another parent crashed into our car, backing off without looking at the parent zone. Her head was like kind of squeezed in a doorway of the passenger exit. That's just horrible. I remember seeing pictures of our vault with dents, imagine, but she probably was born with a silver spoon. That at least the discharge paper says that she was fine, she was safe. MRI says so. After that, her desire to be called by a unisex name started happening. Her haircuts became from long shoulder blade lengths, became bob. And at some point, she was craving for a butch haircut. And she met this psychiatrist, Dr. Sager, at Mercy Reading Health Center. During her well child visit, she all of a sudden asked her PCP, do you have a psychiatrist? And they say, we do. And she goes, I want to be prescribed lithium. We don't know if that's a code word to be introduced to Sager, or she just read something, but she after that incident or accident at the school, that the principal did not even come out or contact me to say like sorry or something, can I help you? I pulled her out from the school that was in Reading, and her choice fell on a charter school called Phoenix Charter Academy, where she met this boy she became friends with, and right now she's probably sharing bed and bedroom with him because his mother owns a foster care she became friends with, and that's where she actually went after she was taken 15-year-old sleeping with her classmate because she identifies as a boy.
So do you think part of that was sort of cooked up between them, the two friends together, that they wanted to be living together?
From what she confessed to me, that grooming by Sager, that desire to be called a unisex name, I'm unfortunately cannot pronounce because the case is still open, and then going on Discord on a specific LGBTQ server, that kind of coincided with one single period of her life, which is Marchish April 2023, when she started seeing Sager, and then Sager had no problem putting her on lithium, and then she self-referred us to a Children's Legacy Center, an NGO from which actually the referral was made to CPS, and they kicked me out of Sager's room. Right now I'm really torturing myself with making this mistake. I was so much afraid to be called an incooperative and neglecting, parent, that I trusted this devil in white gown, that I trusted that she could speak safely with my daughter. I trusted her. So the grooming started at around April 2023, and then my daughter at some point, and it was hard to find offline friends. Redding, California is the reddest part of California, bordering on Oregon, where the wildfires happen. It's such a beautiful area with Mount Shasta, Lassen. It's just gorgeous, but people are pretty rough, and it's very hard for even locals. I saw like posts on local moms group that it's very hard to find your niche, and obviously for immigrants, and so much baggage with moving and all sorts of struggles, that she probably saw me, jumping out of my skin to find friends, but still not succeeding, that she went, I don't know, maybe Sager, maybe this boy from the school, but she ended up at the LGBTQ server in Discord that brought her to this so-called Marky Moo. Again, there is a chapter in my Substack, Who is a Marky Moo? I encourage, please read it, because it's also aimed at some parents who probably, like myself, are very sterile at just those things that are happening. She declared that she was warmly received, and she played again Minecraft and Roblox with him. I want to tell you, girls, that she was so unhappy and sad all these years after bullying that, I really wanted to make her happy. And when passing by her bedroom, I heard this laughter, this chuckle, these giggles, and I trusted Marky Moo was her friend, allegedly a 17 autistic boy from Kansas. What I saw in computer when social worker Nelson took her on June 3rd, that completely changed my world. But I was gullible. I trusted. So the entire 2023 was about grooming and getting gradually getting rid of the male wardrobe, using Walmart and Target male bathrooms. But the beginning of 2024, there was clear frontier. I could see how estranged she becomes. Literally, if an LGBTQ topic, while I was driving her to college or to Phoenix Charter, if she received some unfavorable feedback on LGBTQ, she tried to brainwash me and to lure me into consenting on testosterone and all sorts if she would receive unfavorable. And not even like a point blank no, we were really trying to accommodate her. What even the fact that Russian and Ukrainian Slavic languages, they have gendered language. Even I was started censoring myself because the verbs in past tense, they are gendered. For instance, if I ask her, did you eat breakfast today? That would be reflected in, did you eat as a girl or the boy? And we fundamentally speak our native tongues to our kids. They're both understandable, they're very close, and they would reply with the language they prefer. I mean, as long as my daughter, she was fine with English, but that's how we live. And it's very flexible. It's very switching on and off. And everybody's so, we are the most liberal parents, I think, with such freedom and respect for privacy that we see how we overlooked her being groomed. But that speaks about us, that we trusted her way too much.
Well, you had
So I
your
think,
daughter who had been bullied. You were worried about her all the time. And we all know from being in this, we've heard the stories. The minute that came in this gender identity, that it would have been like flipping a switch with the people. It was an instantaneous block of any bullying by
yeah,
her social, the city, the state, and at the time, the federal government as well. It was this shield that would just come crashing down between her and any kind of bullying. But at the same time, it's like that those same people that were bullying her were now probably like uplifting her and affirming her. And there was no guardrails, it sounds like, within the school and within Dr. Sanger's the medical community. And you sound like so many other parents that are like, we weren't saying no, we were just saying hold on. And then once you do
right,
the research, you go, oh my gosh. But so I think that it's like it was almost like maybe subconsciously it was the protection, the bubble she thought, because of the bullying and stuff, possibly.
correct. We accommodated her. We really wanted her to pass this stage. She was only 15 when she was taken, and ADHD patients, they are known to be first very academically smart and talented, but second, unfortunately, they lag behind social emotionally. So we said, baby, just wait till you can make an informed decision, because she was demanding. She was talking about this topic, like, so to say, processing both of us separately. Maybe Sager coached her, but when she saw that it was a no, at that point, May 2024, like literally 2 or 3 weeks before the removal, it was really hell on earth. She would just slam doors, swear in front of her little brother, even bullying him for not saying he. She never declared that male name. We didn't know that there was a double life with a male name existing, and that Sager used it in February 2024, and she was taken at June 2024. So she lived a double life with Sager encouraging it. So it was so bad, she did not even say thank you for anything I did, like cooking food, driving her to, college and school. These are three separate places. You're asking how I survive. I have no idea. I just devoted my own self. I completely set aside my PhD, which is basically ready, and it's been ready for since the day she was born. But I could not sacrifice my little girl. I opted for motherhood, and that is still dusting on the shelf. Maybe one day I will become a PhD in linguistics and translation, who knows. But I really, after I lost my parents, she became my all, and I dissolved in her. So it was unbearable, but we tried to manage. But I saw that our home relationship was dying, and on the day when they filed, and I was shaking, sitting in the lobby while Sager was talking to her, and I was not even scheduled for appointment. I just said, Dr. Sager, can you devote 10 minutes to me? I have a message from Daddy. And she was grimacing. She was, obviously they filed, but when she saw me, but she already, she was listening to me. And I said, I want you to stop talking LGBTQ to her, but they already filed, and she was grimacing. Her mouth muscles, they were like moving in such an chaotic movement. I was looking at her, what's going on? And she said, she even encouraged her. So I said, please cut it off. And she said, no, maybe she should stop seeing me then. So I cried. I left her office. My daughter was using her phone like immensely. I bet she was talking to Markimu. And then a few days later, a solicitor looking person wearing a midi black dress with no car visible inside, no court paperwork, no badge ID comes and takes her barefoot. My daughter went barefoot. She was waiting for her.
So a state sanctioned kidnapping, basically.
My husband did the majority of talking. I grabbed my son. It was the worst day of my life. I even think that even it's worse than my parents' funeral, because we are dying like every single day. They're killing us, like, like literally killing our tail in pieces. What's been doing? It's like they're eating us alive. And I immediately developed physical reaction. Postpartum, I have some issues with my proctology. I grabbed my son, went in the back, tried to calm myself down, keep hydrated. My husband did the porch talk. We have 2 cameras recording audio and video. Meanwhile, there's mostly audio. So Nelson, her name is Nelson, she was trying to provoke physical aggression from my husband. It never happened. So he had her call 911, and 8 cop cars came to pick up one single child from such emotional abusers like ourselves. 8.
I think the other thing, as well as the devastation that you've been through, is realizing the effect that it would have had on her, that she'd been basically groomed by this doctor, that you were bad parents, and that she needed to be separated from you. And I also been thinking about what a bright girl she was, that she was looking for the answers, wasn't she, about the difference in her and the difficulties she was having in life. And one of the things we have heard is how this gender identity stuff is seen as the ultimate answer. It's seen as the panacea for all ills, and that would have been dripped into her, that this was going to help her, that this was going to mean that she was going to fit in and be normal and have a great life.
Strange as it seems, the year of 2023, when this grooming was underway actively, she was kind of preparing me for a hysterectomy, but it was all not LGBTQ, not trans. It was mental, like she was, so to say, hypnotizing me with these talks like, mama, I know, I'm aware that these BPD patients, first of all, they don't live long, and they are so, severe that they are unable to take care of themselves. Why, would make these, horribly suffering kids like victims, another victim? Why? So Sager was so cunning that she never even spoke with me about it. She was acting through my daughter, because I eventually became her patient. My anxiety through all these years, and then my son's behavioral issues, because he saw my daughter. He was there all the time. He started to have behavioral issues, and when he entered the Reading STEM Academy, he had issues as well, and he was basically denied a few daycares in Reading for behavioral issues. So it was really so hard that I asked Dr. Sager to treat me for anxiety, which she did in a very quack and layman. She just tested 5 different psychotropes. It's horrible. She was literally making me into a veggie, probably to control me, but she was so smart in that she never even confronted me. So the 2023, my daughter made it into the mental, and then 2024 was, marked with trans. And again, that playbook, that blueprint, that mantra, maybe I just did not luck out, mama, sign me the T. I am looking at these friends on Discord, and their moms are buying them Packers. Oh my goodness, I didn't know what it was. And when I Googled, Jesus Christ, it was just insanity. But the cult was greedy. The cult wasn't having enough for me to accommodate her. It was harder with daddy because he's a IT guy. He's an engineer with dry and sober mind. Still, he tried to accommodate. I mean, he would not really censor his language. And at some point, she started correcting him, even in Ukrainian. He would use she, and she would correct him, especially in April and May before Nelson came. It was very, we were bullied by her in terms of language, but we loved her dearly. Ukrainians, again, there is one chapter with the Ukrainian flag. I made the most to draw as many comparisons of Ukrainians and Americans as possible, because a lot of them are really reflected in the allegations. So CPS judged us for being Ukrainians. When she was taken, she was almost immediately placed in that classmate mother foster home that they packed with 6 children of severe mental traumas. Those are business people that are professionally making money on mental traumatized children, including my daughter. And because she identifies, in inverted commas, as a male, and I have so much proof of that they placed her to share the bedroom with her classmate. There's so much that started happening that the hell in Massachusetts seemed only, like watching a movie, but not going through this.
Nothing sums up brings home the fact how greedy this movement, the gender ideology movement, is. That they're telling your daughter that she's born wrong and there's some magic cure, and they ruin your home life to the point that they're also getting your insurance money to help treat your anxiety. I mean, that is just like makes my blood run cold.
Yes, I just don't know how Sager could do it. Sager knew everything happening in terms of our care. She knew about the shed. So what's the big deal about the shed? It's 15 feet from the main property. It's this like a mother's-in-law unit that is completely fenced. The entire property is fenced. I encourage everybody to look at the Substack. There is an aerial view of it. It's a home, an independent home. And she bullied us so much in May before the removal, and never helping me about the house, just, playing Minecraft, bullying the entire family, obviously under Sager's and Markimu's spell. So I said at some point, if you disowned us, if you don't associate us with this family, with yourself, why don't you take a break? And it was the beginning of the summer break, 2024, June. Why don't you live in we just call it shed, when we closed the deal. It was like mentioned in the title documentation. We'll bring you to any grocery store. You will have allowance. We'll provide you with everything. It's just that our little son cannot take your swearing and bullying, and it's not healthy for him to be calling you a boy. We're traditional Ukrainian Orthodox family, meaning that we're Christians, and we believe that God made a man and a woman, and we are very strong and solid science, fans, because her father is an engineer and I am a linguist. So 2 plus 2 equals 4 and not 5, as Sager or the cult says. And definitely they they twisted it over. And Nelson did not even show us any petition, any paperwork. She just took her. They took her pills. The police officer who lied in his sheriff report, he took her pills and verified Nelson's identity, because daddy could not simply leave her with our daughter. And since our daughter left barefoot, or later on the camera, we heard that Nelson told our daughter, I cannot legally drive you. You have to follow me till the end of your property, till the gate. Can you imagine that social worker talks to a mentally unstable teen girl like that? So that did not happen. They were waiting for cops to arrive. The cops verified her identity. We gave her pills. They escorted her to probably their office, and then 72 hours later, detention hearing, without being able to open up our mouths. No attorneys present at the first hearing. We had to. They just took her. Judge Bigelow from Dependency Court in Shasta said that everything is substantiated. No prior calls, no investigation, no checking on the shed, no checking on the it child. They accuse us for calling her it, whereas we have 3 fully fledged genders, and neutral is neutral. So that's the level of their work is. Again, that was sandwiched with some lies that, for instance, at some point my husband drove her and said, who is so fucked in the head that just tells you this stuff? So they said that we called her sick and fucked in the head. So that's how CPS works. I bet not only in California. And we were able to see that petition after the hearing. So we completely were stripped of our rights until this day. In the paper, it says we retain medical educational rights, but in fact, both the school, all the medical and mental health entities, they just show that we are garbage, we are dust, insects. They never wanted to work with us. They never wanted to settle with us. They called us culturally unfit to raise our daughter in the present day American values, meaning we refused to transition her and chop off her healthy breasts. That was 3 months later in the first amended petition. They judged us for smiling in a non-American way. They judged me for greeting CPS workers at visitations with a closed smile. Please read the chapter about Ukrainian and American differences. You will see how imbecilic, I'm sorry, it has gotten. They placed her to share the bedroom and bed with her classmate. They got her anemic. They underfed her. They did not provide these 2 glitters. They did not provide her with matching conditions, meaning that she was sharing a bedroom half size of her own that she used on her own. She had jacuzzi, she had her own bathroom, she had her own bedroom. None of that was present in that glitter unicorn home that is owned by a school board member, Walter Albert. He's a public person of Columbia that is cronies with the principal who basically supplied her to him and to CPS. It's all one mafia, and the district finances the same school. Can you imagine how bad it's got? And most stuff was going and done behind our backs.
It sounds such a horrific ordeal for you all. And once she was taken, how much information were you getting, and are you still getting, about what's happening to her, where she is?
June, July, August, September, before they started canceling the visits because she was leaking information about what's really going on in that school board members' unicorn home packed with 6 children with severe mental traumas. She was still talking to me. She was brainwashed. She was marked as CSEC. There is a chapter on Substack, potentially commercially sexually exploited child. They marked her in the initial petition because she was talking on Discord. Yet they still allowing her to be talking to Markimu. The glitters are fine with that. She was watching late night shows with the glitters and her classmate. They were open. She was openly allowed to use all the sharp objects, and only to my knowledge and documented addendum reports by CPS, she self-harmed and she was never moved from that horrible place. She got anemic. She was underfed. She was not provided with a computer desk or bookshelf. So, we went to ice creamery one day. We had only 3 community visits before they, completely switched the faucet off when they heard that the leakage is happening. We saw that Daddy was buying, it never happened before, Daddy was buying her ice cream. Social worker was taking notes how things were, going on this visit. And she said, what should I do with the change? And my husband said, take it. You should see how fast she put it, as if she never had money. We exchanged looks, meaning that she is not even probably paid for her chores, or she is really starving. That never happened in our custody. We know that person. I had Maggie's cell phone. We were able to look up their home with report. Girls, they owe money. They took a loan for 120. Right now we have updates for that house. We know their address. It's over 155 and it's subject to foreclosure. 6 children in that foster care. The house is subject for foreclosure. The judge rubber stamps everything that CPS tosses to her. The judge never addressed the moving of our daughter. The judge called the Glitter's former caregivers. They are still accompanying her to the court. And I have transcripts, and this Walter, he's 57. He accompanies a 17-year-old girl. Come on. Is he pedophilic or something? What's going on in Shasta County? At some point, she allegedly filed domestic violence restraining order emancipation petition to get completely cut off from us, probably so that we don't even go around that school or around that property. We never did. We spent 19 months, 12 or 13 hearings without being able to speak sometimes. We spent over $180K for 3 attorneys. One was out of state, big name, worked with the judge, worked with CPS, never heard us, never addressed things. Even her case theory was built upon us being kind of guilty, and we should just, pay money and go to court to try to prove we not guilty. But she should have just filed like an appeal why we are there in the first place. We should not have been there, but it's the system. And upon seeing that the judge has not ruled on in writing, August 29th, it was never dismissed. We spent almost $500,000 with $300,000 to go to BNI treatment centers to finally move her at least from the Glitter foster care. And the judge removed in jurisdiction here in February all the allegations. She kept the custody. We paid $300,000, $5,000 a day by our insurance to go to BNI to just move her, for God's sake, from these unicorn, affirmers. Judge Bigelow still did not give her back to us. And at the end of August, she rules on home maintenance with, again, CPS oversight. We went through setups at her medical visits. Security guard was brought to handcuff us, to provoke physical aggression. We went through like KGB interrogation. We survived. But when the domestic violence was filed, and it was filed in secrecy, we accidentally found it only by going to court for some other paperwork. And when we saw DV, I said to my husband, I'm taking her brother and I'm going away from the county and from the state. After DVs were filed in secret, and I saw that her handwriting was possibly forged, and the judge is abusing the entire due process. She delays and delays, and the child is getting more damaged. The child is getting more estranged. That's what Molly Bigelow does. We lose time. She's aging out, and she rules in orally. And then we saw these DVs and emancipation, where she having been lived in Walter Albert's care for 15 months and testifying that never physical abuse happened. And she writes in emancipation that we beat her up. It's like, guys, I don't belong here anymore. I don't want my son to be part of it. I never packed. Within 30 minutes, August 29th, I left California.
Well, it must have taken such a huge amount of courage to do that, because you knew that things were going to get worse and that you had to protect the family that you had, that things were not going to be sorted around your daughter for a very long time. And now you're living across the country from her, aren't you?
Yes, I know way too much. Maybe it's good, maybe it's bad, but at some point of discovery, because the case Hazel has been so delayed, we were provided with discovery, with more delivered service logs. Now I know that Nelson wanted my son too. I received a paper that made my jaw drop and my hair raise. 6 months after the case started, they wanted my son as well. So that made me even more determined to live with him. Also, that Sager filed to a Stonewall Alliance, that is gender affirming clinic in Chico, California. The following day, my daughter was taken. And so many of these behind my back, that we just simply put our beautiful, beautiful house that was now being empty and wasn't able to protect us, apparently, because the Reading Police Department is partnering with CLC, from which the call went to CPS. And Sager is in her LinkedIn, she's a proud CPS psychiatrist. So they are partnering with CPS. Lots of government agencies are partnering with this clinic that filed against us. And you don't have protection in Redding, California. Police works with them. School works with them. School is cronies with the glitters. So the house is such a beautiful, but unfortunately it hasn't become our fortress. We put it on sale. We weren't able to sell it for 120 days. Right now we are trying to rent it. We are losing tons and tons of money renting in Florida. Still paying our mortgage in California. It's, again, we spent 180K for travel costs, for expert fees. One psychiatrist who did forensic on our daughter, he actually charges $900, but he made us a discount and he charged $700. Can you imagine what we went through? One day he had to travel from San Francisco to Redding. We paid for everything. Yet February 3rd, 2025, Molly Bigelow removed all allegations, non-existent allegations of emotional abuse, never returning our daughter to us, never getting us out from the khaki, meaning that if and I do want, because I'm almost 45, I have TikTok before I'm unable to deliver any kids. It means that if I am an abuser on those countrywide list of abusers, I won't be able to give birth to my third child, which I really want to, because CPS can come and, they have lists. They can come and snatch the baby. I cannot work with children because I'm an abuser. I'm a translator, I'm a teacher, and I can do art therapy because I am certified in art therapy. None of that I can do. And the top of the glaze on the cake, my husband won't be able to pass a security clearance should, God forbid, he loses his job and has to undergo a security clearance test. Once he did it for bank, he won't be able to. That's what CPS did to us, because they can. We are hiding. We are criminals, apparently. They redetained her because we left the state. We filed JV 180 to be allowed to take our daughter to Florida with us. By the way, 2023, she confessed to me it was her dream. And we found a facility in Florida. Judge Bigelow denied all that. CPS resubmitted another detention report, meaning that we abandoned her and we are abusers, and the child needs to be detained forever. And that happened January 27th of this year. It's the last chapter on the most recent chapter on my Substack called Subhumans. That's how they treat us. I urge you to read it. That's the basic recap of what happened for the past 21 months.
It's really just so terrible what's happened both to your daughter and to all of your family. I know that you're an artist and that art therapy is something you've been trained in. It must be something that you are using for your own comfort and your own healing through these times. Do you want to talk a bit about your art?
Thank you. I can rant for hours. Thank you, my dear. It's called Neurographica. I also run my own Kindness for Art on Facebook. It's a private group, but I let everybody in as long as it's kind. I got certified. My teacher, my instructor is in Ukraine, and I am specialist, meaning I can work with people on that. I can coach, I can teach. It's such a future. It's future of basically art therapy and self-help, because you don't pay your therapist, you draw and you find solutions. I have my YouTube channel where I shared my free videos. It's also called Kindness for Art. I encourage you to subscribe and try. I try to make it to make it as simple as I can in English again. There's classical algorithm, which is called algorithm of lifting restrictions. You basically think about what bothers you. It's self-help algorithm when you are either being anxious or again angry and anything, like unhappy, sad, melancholic, depressed. You think about it, you try to gather it on the tip of your Sharpie or something, and you make a doodle on the paper within 2 or 3 seconds. And then you round the intersections, you prolong the lines with a neurographic line and talk about it on YouTube and on my page. And you add color, you fix it with any color you want, you try to make it fixated with any picture, with any shape, as long as it's round, because round picture, round, I apologize, round shape is the ideal and harmonic shape. It's basically circle or egg shape, or I can rant for hours. It trust me, it does help. I found so many insights, and you basically your own therapist while doing it, because you ask yourself a question, you keep a focus on 3 points of your attention, physically, flesh, mind, and spirit. You trust me, it's going to be a revelation for those who tries it, and it's beautiful. What I love the most about it, girls, is that the big deal of neurographica is not about it's still art, right? It's still art. It's not about the object, but it's focusing on the subject, yourself. You don't have to make it likable by someone else. You have to like it, and then it's going to work. It's going to program your mind for a whatever you want to achieve, right? You can draw about money, you can draw about health, you can draw about relationship, you can draw about this horror I'm going through. It's really, the future is in front of it, and my hat is off for Pavel Piskaryov, a Russian architect, psychologist. It's based on Jungian psychology, Jungian approach rather than Freudian, but it's very beautiful. Somebody says it looks like stained glass, and I agree. I agree.
Art has been instrumental in my healing process, and I really like what you were saying about it's working through things. You're not thinking about what the general public or anyone else, even those that are close to you, are going to think about it. And for me, it's kind of a requirement. It's why I'm very organic. I don't If I try and plan out art in advance, it doesn't work for me. So I just have to, because I know I'm working something out, like you said. and I'm always like telling women, just doodle. Just it's one of the best stress relievers and the easiest things. Get some coloring books, get some crayons, get some colored pencils, get some finger paints, some acrylics, whatever. So just the way your voice lit up when you were talking about the art, and that's the thing. I think art in a way gives us, it's a distraction from that. It distracts that side of our brain that tells us we're not good enough or we can't overcome things. It distracts it and goes, look, something's shiny. And then it goes and it just works through things. And yeah, it was just your voice. We could hear, well, I could, the love that you have, that there's a portion of your heart that is your art.
Thank you so much. I couldn't agree more. I just want to give a couple of more highlights before you or someone else asks questions or proceeds. I'm basically almost done. What is the I forgot to mention what is even more of a big deal about Neurographica is it's not a pre-made, like those mandalas. We do mandalas too, by the way. And it's so dynamic. So when you add more lines and more colors, it's dynamic. It's never boring. It can develop in front of your eyes. You know what I mean? Like especially I like when I add, for instance, of course I follow the color wheel, and we know those complementary colors and cool colors and everything. So as long as you're working within color palette, like you add, for instance, you have like reds, right? There are some rules, but you still have to follow. And again, I don't want to waste time because everything is on my page and on my YouTube channel. As long as you color at least 2+ neighboring segments, then you are fine. Don't make it as a Persian rug then, because your mind is what you're working with. It's, you're putting your puzzles together, and that's how you get harmonized. So when you add more lines and more colors, it's living, it's breathing, literally your drawing, your doodle. Sometimes hearts appear, sometimes even like birds appear, but we should not be focusing on that. There are some shapes. We have triangles, we have squares, we have spirals, and we have, of course, circles. So even when I add those, like iridescent things like greens to blues, or, oranges to yellows, they sparkle and they're like their reflection, and it's a living thing. It's never boring because it really is living through with yourself. And that's why I stopped buying those, and I have nothing against, I'm not like discouraging you from buying those pre-made mandalas at Target, like at those cashiers, wherever. But this is just it captured my heart, and it's been lasting since, I believe, I started drawing at 2023. But you will be surprised and amazed that whenever I was looking for answers in Massachusetts, and I was definitely chasing probably all webinars about how to help teenagers, I was asking myself a question: what's going on with her? Why is she so negative? Why is she blaming me? You don't know, but she was really wishing me death for the past 5 years before she was removed. She was, and that's why I let her go, because what I discovered in her computer, which she left unlocked, there was a living conversation with her classmate being on the same, by the way, chat group with Marky Moo, and Marky Moo was clearly instructing her to leave the home and better dig a grave for your parents. I saw that had been prepared. That is a coach to leave the home, and that she wanted to hurt us in order to stay, like legit. And we basically let her go. We said to Nelson, I know right now I really, really regret, because CPS and Mike Horan, her horrible youth council, and her guardian ad litem, that is like a Satan. They're holding on to it. They judge us by our pain, by our bitterness and emotions, because again, the hell did not start when Nelson came. The hell started when she was, manipulative and ODD and Massachusetts, but they don't care. So they hold on to that. But I wasn't yelling, but I was exclaiming, and I was crying to Nelson. I said, she was wishing me death, and for the past 5 years, and my daughter immediately started saying that it's not true, but it is true. So I was looking for ways, and one of the webinars I found that the year of 2018 that I ran into Neurographica, but it probably at that time I was not ready, and I put it off. And then 2023, when things looked, seemingly they looked that we settled down, and I was really eager to pursue this, and I don't regret. Neurographica really, literally saved my mental health, maybe even saved my life, because I know that there are deaths of parents in CPS ordeals. The Maya case, probably you heard about it. There are cases when trans kids, their parents committed suicide. I know about those cases. They're just insane. That's just horrible. You won't believe that Maggie, the caregiver, was drawing with me at CFTs, and CPS family workers drew. They loved it. But then they regained control, saying, no, we're not going to do it. Because I would bring my drawing pads and just show them, and I would see their eyes. You literally get hypnotized when you look at those lines. So it's become maybe my weapon, but maybe my shield. I will never trade it for anything.
Absolutely. It's lovely to hear about that. In terms of everything you've been through, what advice would you have for other parents of girls and boys in schools who are having difficulties?
I already answered that question in one of my podcasts with Sonia Shaw, the candidate running for superintendent in California, and I was prepared for that question. And Miriam Grossman's book, Lost in Translation, I strongly recommend for any parent, for any mom. Please read this navy blue colored book. It's such a shield and power for you. It has these answers. Know your rights. I did not know my rights. I trusted the educational and medical professionals. Know your rights. Don't step out of the psychiatrist, or I don't know, probably psychologist. Yeah, they can, especially in California, they can kick you out. But in terms of medication management and just be present in your child's lives, that's what happened with our case. Still, you see how they wound us up around their little finger. Don't be gullible. Question, triple question everything. Like, don't just think that these haircuts, these talks, these blueprints, these transcripts, the wrong body, they lead to a very bad place. Again, if you at least have one of these diagnoses, be on the lookout, because if you don't take care of them and your relationship with your child, someone else will come and do that in such a bad way that I always in my husband and everybody else, you are the most helicopter mom I've ever met. This cup did not miss me. I am drinking it in full.
What do you feel is when you get up every day? And this is, I mean, like, are you, now that you've, how do I put this? How are you doing? I guess is the best thing. Like, how are you holding up?
We've been sleep deprived for these over 21 months. We have, disruption of sleep. We can get up at 2, at 1, at 4. My son, after Nelson left, for these past 21 months, and again, read it please in the siblings chapter, he is afraid to close his bedroom door, and he doesn't want me to close mine, meaning he wants me around the corner at basically a couple of feet away of distance. Every knock on the door, he runs and hides under the bed or behind our armchair. Can you imagine? So I don't want you to think I'm suicidal. I'm not, but I don't feel like waking up, and I want those dreams to continue, because this cold shower reality is like, oh, again, I'm not, dreaming. It's real. And what again? I mean, nobody wants to pick up this case. No big media, no Elon Musk, no Joe Rogan, not even Fox or Epoch Times. And we'll talk about Genspect in a moment. That was a really pivotal moment in my life that we went to last week. The food lost its taste. I basically, we are living like robots. We know it's the fight. I'm trying not to break my heart even more. I try not to think about how she is doing, because it's literal. I'm bleeding. I'm a walking wound. I'm bleeding. Just with knowing that this little boy will wake up in a couple of minutes, and he will look me in the eye, and I have to answer myself a question: what more have I done? How more I can be useful to finally put an end on this? Why are they doing this to us? Why are they succeeding? I mean, yeah, mafia, blah blah blah, but what who else what other doors can I knock? Because I'm looking at their reaction. First of all, almost all neighbors but one, and definitely the schools and the parents with younger children, they stopped inviting my little son, and you will be able to read about it. It's very disheartening, to birthday parties and to play dates. We got blocked, we got unfriended, we got demonized, because I'm looking at people's reaction. The magical horrific CPS letters just petrifies people, but it's so wrong. It wasn't designed with this purpose. I did not build this. I am legal Ukrainian immigrant. I have war in my country. I hosted refugees in the shed. By the way, the 2 years before, my daughter was taken, I never denied care to her. I never said no to people when they asked for help. Of course, we have this question: why, what for? But maybe it's a utopic question, and we should be just asking something more harmonic, like what for? I mean, what can we do? How more strong we can become? Maybe we should help other parents. So with that, I created Parents Against Shasta, California and Beyond group, and it's almost 200 people, and it's one of the most working groups. We never put the slime on our nose, just crying and like waiting, sitting around and like just help us. We regrouped, we cried, then we sang, then we joked. We have dark humor. We're like Ukrainian army. We are, yes, we are blunt. We are not aggressive. We are direct, but we are being judged by being direct, by being straightforward. We don't have time for even emotional validation. We don't have historically, we don't have time with wars, because you don't have time for emotional validation when you're running from one bomb shelter to another. But we are being judged for that. You know what I mean? Like, read about it. Read about the judgment days we had with them. It's a very strong chapter. It talks how we talk, the intonation we use, the pitch we use, the smile we apply, like everything, the conflict we resolve, the way we do it. And of course, CPS is just abusing it, and they never were interested to work with us. They were just applying the forced adoption scheme, something that worked for many, many years with this same judge, because they can.
So I know that you have been trying to highlight what's been happening to you and what's generally happening in California. You've been going to podcasts and conferences. How has it been going, getting your story out there?
I don't see a necessary degree for it to make a real difference. I got picked. I basically, Gabrielle Clark, very, very good mom and activist. She's running affirming reality. She screened me on the New Year's Day, and we had a few spaces with her. She says, nobody wants to take your case, my dear. No big media, neither Megyn Kelly nor Robbie Starbuck. They don't want to. I don't know why. Only Redux responded. They wrote this cool article. I am going to share in a couple of seconds right here. It's a very good journalism. So million views. I don't know why it's oh yeah, it can be seen. Million views in a couple of months. Gays and groomers and libs of TikTok picked it once. Then I was chasing her for almost 6 months. Stella O'Malley from GenSpect did a very good podcast with me, and naturally after that podcast that is being picked up, I think it's around 5,000, I'm not sure, we begged her to be allowed to participate in GenSpect, which happened last week. We had to put this one off. At some point she said, yes, I can give you a couple of minutes, because it had been decided, the agenda, the schedule had been already, allotted. But at some point she said, no, I don't know why. It got me pretty sad, because we came with our son. We have no family. We arrived like 3 hours actually at night before the conference started. We networked, really well. It was appropriate for us to speak. I don't know whose decision it was, but it was very disheartening. Yet the only thing she agreed upon was printing out flyers. I will also share in a moment, that had some QR codes upon the Substack, upon Redux article, and again upon Stella's podcast with me. So again, you're asking how we are surviving. We are very flexible, again, survivors, right? So we are opportunistic people. We make the most of every situation we are finding ourselves in, meaning we try to make lemonade out of lemons. So you are not allowed to talk, okay, we'll do the flyer. So I was literally chasing and I knew them, and the majority knew me, of course, from those podcasts. I was chasing the influencers. I was chasing HHS officials. You probably saw the picture, me shaking hand with Admiral Christine and his assistant. A lot of detransitioners also went on podcast with me, like Maya Poet, Johnny Skinner, Layla Jane. Prisha knows me. We made some selfies and hugs. Epoch Times, a journalist from the world, they took my information. They haven't reached back. I know I need to be patient. It's just that, nobody responded back. I mean, I have Mia Hughes' business card. I know she's traveling. She meant to do a sibling piece, and that's what inspired me to write about her little brother, and I meant to. So I know things are not done, in a very fast way. Let alone that the news cycle is crazy. Like I was told that Megyn Kelly's producer wanted to reach back 3 days after Redux article was published, but then they just were giving reasons why they haven't, because Renee Good, because the other man was, shot in or stabbed or shot in Minnesota, like, oh, that's the news cycle. And I was waiting and waiting, and then they probably lost interest, and then even Redux stopped talking to me. I don't know how fast it's going. Maybe it's getting outdated pretty fast. So I saw the Icelandic dad, Alessandro, like my namesake. He was picked up by Libs, like I was from Stella, but Elon did not see. I was mentioned in Wall Street Journal opinion. I sent you the link. If you can share, that will be wonderful. We are mentioned with our legal names. Right now I can say it's Alexandra, because the masks are off, and I spoke with my legal counsel 2 days ago. He said you should stop going by Ellie, because this is this is enough. This should go so viral, Alexandra, that we are blessing you. We filed pro se last December after we landed in Florida. We filed an extremely hard-hitting civil rights complaint. Now it's amended and it's been served. We are facing a probably, hope not dismissal, but a hearing on the 25th of this month. Please pray for me. And if anybody knows a civil rights attorney that can join our good fight, we would appreciate it very much. We need an attorney. We filed against that police officer who lied. We filed against the judge who just blanket gagged us. We filed against Sager, of course. We filed against CPS, of course. We filed against the principal Dougherty, who is cronies and who, with a glitter, a school board member, and who is completely harassing and slandering us in their paperwork. And she actually kicked out our daughter from school without even enabling her to complete her 12th grade. Of course, her grades dropped. Of course, she's falling apart educationally. She was a straight, A+ student. Now everything is falling apart. They're just destroying her future, destroying her health. I hope they have not put her on the T, because I don't know. They say not, but they are not talking to us. They're stripping us of all possible rights you can think of. They're just right now they are revenging upon us, and it's weakening. But we have no choice. We have to keep fighting.
Yes, you do, and I'm sure that everyone here will know that you will. I think that obviously we'll all be sending our best for the 25th of March. But in the long run, the likelihood is that she will come back to you. And I'm sure you hold that dear in your heart.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'll be sharing some links. So whatever you want to be, mentioning, I just want to mention again, I will knock you out of your chairs probably, she was such an innocent and clean girl in my custody. I mean, in our custody, we fight unanimously. That makes our case unique. There is a separate chapter on that. I brought her up on the best world folklore and fairy tales of the best of the best. And I assume that she was raped, right? It's a age of non-consent in even in California. So sharing a bedroom with a classmate, and I have proof of our insurance claims that she started to be I know by whom she started to be prescribed combined birth control in September. She was taking in June. And ladies, be prepared. April 4th, while in BNI, this luxury rehab, we paid $300,000 with our insurance. She took a pregnancy test. To confirm. So
I just wonder, I just want to let you know, I know that it's disheartening, the news cycle, right? And how the people are, you can feel it almost physically, you being shifted down the importance pole with larger organizations or the media or whatever. And I think you should take heart in the fact that you just keep going. Anyone who's looked at your account knows this is what you are about, and all you want this to end. So just keep going, and that's what makes this community so amazing, is that once you realize that you are not alone, and that everyday women all over the globe stand with you. Once you accept that and you realize it's a real thing, we're not going to stop talking about your daughter, right? And we're going to support you in this. So just take heart in the fact that even though right now it seems that some might have amnesia and have forgotten the importance of your situation, the women of this movement don't feel that way. The women of this movement are going to do what they can to help you. So you just keep speaking out. Just keep speaking out.
Yes, thank you. That's what I'm doing. I don't know why I'm not being like seen by bigger accounts. I mean, I'm commenting on Joe Rogan's and Elon's like literally seconds sometimes after they post. Yes, it's very disheartening, but the Gens Pact possibility, I hope Mia Hughes and the Epoch Times that will go back to me. It was much more helpful. So I encourage girls, ladies, moms, grandma, moms, sisters, please share it with anyone. There are disheartening comments like somebody says, oh, I'm nobody, I have like 10 followers on X or 100. I started from 100 too, and I'm not even 2000 yet. But still, I'm like, don't say you're nobody. Do it, and maybe someone else will see and also will do it, and then the domino effect, will be picked up. So that's my main uh, urge and plea for you with this podcast, that don't think that if you are like followed by a little bit, it will, the we are what makes the world, moms and sisters and our daughters. So any politician, especially if you have connections at of course DOJ, FBI, that would be really cool. We need to be seen by Harmeet Dillon. I'm trying to get her attention. It's not succeeding. Maybe. So at this point, girls, like anything helps. Anything works. Like legal. We are not looking for a family lawyer. It's kangaroo court. It's not working. It's absolutely useless because Molly Bigelow rubber stamps everything CPS puts under her gavel, whatever. Civil rights attorney, yes, that will be awesome if somebody joins in. And right now what really works is, yes, the media. Elon Musk is right. We are the media now. So that will be wonderful if I get to be introduced. Only introductions work in this present day world.
Well, we're getting close to wrapping up here for this 2 hours with you today, Alexandra. It that was really it was very eloquent what you just said. If you wanted to pass on, if you because when this goes across our audio services and someone might come across it, what would you want them to know about the danger of a parent who's not aware of what's going on?
It's a war on families. It's a war on children. I even heard that Redding was mentioned in Epstein files many times, and parents in Shasta on my group, they say, yes, we heard it too. Hold on to your kids. Don't let them, like far away from you. Don't think that you overthink. Just don't think that you are a zombie or anxious lunatic. Yes, they are after our children. I never regretted being a mother, and I'm so happy. I hope I still have her. I still have my little boy, and I bless every single day that she was with me, and I'm praying, I'm talking to her. She comes in my dreams, even with that butch haircut, but she comes to my dreams and saying, "Mama, I'm back," or "Happy arrival." And it just, sometimes I sob and I cry and wake up, and I really miss her smell, and I miss her head and her hair. I'm kissing it in my dreams. I hope she'll come back. I try not to think what wrong I did, but of course a parent will always end up with guilt feeling. Please don't forget about me. Speak about me. I don't know how many months or years I am allowed to live, because the health is kind of letting me down. I don't want to go to the doctors. I still want to continue to fight, because I really want to get our family together and one day uncover these pixels, take off these masks, stop hiding, stop even just stopping myself to say her real name, because even I'm not allowed even to say the unisex name that basically is in that article that I just shared. I almost said everything. So I do appreciate girls. God bless, and God forbid anybody is in the situation that I've been in with my husband and my son for 21 months.
Ellie, I really want to thank you for your openness, your willingness to share your story. And all of us would want to applaud your courage and your determination to fight this system and to get your daughter back. And we wish you every success in that.
Thank you, my dear. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart.
Please repost the space if afterwards. Let's get Alexandra's word out there, and it doesn't take any energy to repost. Yes, thank you so much for joining us today. The Red Tent is in your corner 100%, and so is Hazel Moon Audio. We will be, this is, Alexandra is wrapping up our series 2 of Red Tent Storytellers. And we really are honored that you joined us today. We'll be back at the beginning of May with the amazing Turvin Wallflower. She will be joining us for a really interesting conversation. I'm not going to give you too much. You gotta follow us and to get what the conversation's going to be about. And so yes, series 3 will start up in May with Wallflower, and then we have the awesome Mary Kate Delby joining us. Thank you once again to my sister Hazel Moon Audio for co-hosting. Thank you, Ellie, for joining us today and really just letting the walls down and talking to us as a woman and as a mother in this terrible situation of the social contagion of gender ideology. And I know everyone in this space is going to be rooting for you, that we're going to see the post here soon that says that she's home. Thank you again. And I'm going to let Hazel Moon take us out.
Thank you so much. God bless you, sisters. God bless you, girls and moms.
Yes, thank you so much, Ellie. Thank you, Red Tent. Thank you, Peter. Thank you for everyone who's come here. Do share it, keep talking, and I'm sure we'll be back with some updates. Thank you, everybody.